she's been the chair for 2 years. She's coming up on June 30 to finish her service as IBPA chair after 4 years as a board member, 2 years as chair. So she's been with the association a very long time. She might even mentioned as a member of a longer time than that. So I think she started with the IBPA when we were Publishers Marketing Association way back in those times. So Karla is finishing her term, but she has had a ride over the past couple of years. And we just wanted to turn the floor over to you, Karla, so you could talk a little bit about how the past 2 years have been for you, and what you're looking forward to when you're all done with this stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Angela, and thank you, everyone. Yes, I've been involved with IBPA, previously PMA, for a very, very long time. I was just thinking about it, and I think actually I joined in 1993 or 1994. So 30 years almost. It's been an amazing organization that's really supported my work in publishing, which has included a lot of different facets of the publishing industry. And currently, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the publisher at Patagonia, the clothing company. We have a small select publishing program. We publish about 5 books a year, and have published 60 books in the last 13 years or so. But reflecting back on the most amazing 2 years as chair of this organization, I'll start by saying that the last 2 years haven't been what I expected when I agreed to be the board chair of IBPA, and that is a dramatic understatement. To say that I am incredibly proud of the work this organization has done during 2 very challenging years would also be a dramatic understatement. So when I signed on to IBPA, or to be the board chair, IBPA was relatively healthy and doing what it always has done so well, supporting and educating our members in their publishing endeavors, and advocating for independent publishing. Thanks to the amazing staff and board, including former chair Brooke Warner, our membership was steady and our programs were valued. I expected to lead the board and staff to fine-tune some programs and practices, and I thought my big job would be to help establish a better system for our affiliate groups around the country. Instead, in March 2020, right before I took over, the pandemic threw the world into turmoil. We isolated at home, with bookstores and other establishments closing their doors to stop the spread. What was expected to be a few weeks stretched into months and years, and life and business as we knew it was tossed into chaos. Many of us were paralyzed by the unknown, but the staff and board at IBPA launched into action. Recognizing that what our members needed most was community, they started weekly roundtable discussion groups. At first, the groups focused on financial support for our members' businesses. The staff set up web pages with information about how to sign up for POP loans. The roundtables were an opportunity for members to share their successes and challenges. The networking and community, although virtual, was exactly what we needed at the time. And then George Floyd was brutally killed in Minneapolis. Although this incident was not directly related to book publishing, it caused many to re-examine important aspects of American life and society. That was the case for IBPA as well. In 2019, the board set goals to examine and increase inclusivity within IBPA. The amplified racial tension and civil unrest of 2020 motivated us to accelerate the development of a strategic plan and make an honest assessment of not only our organization, but the publishing business as a whole. Once again, we were spurred to action. The staff and board formed a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force with the goal of developing a strategic plan to increase the diversity of IBPA, but to also challenge the established publishing industry. It is my belief, as echoed by several of our board candidates, that independent publishers are often more facile than companies in the Big Five, and that we can lead the way to embracing a wider variety of voices and helping more people recognize themselves in the pages of books. The members of the task force, Seth Dellin, Karen Pavlison, Kelly Peterson, Christina Radke, Kathy Strauss, Victoria Sutherland, Lindy Ryan, Tyshina Davis, myself as board chair, IBPA's CEO, Angela Bowl and Director of Education and Programs Lee Wynn spent several months first reflecting and evolving, then developing strategic goals for how to make our organization not only less biased, but actively anti-racist. Our goals were to examine all of our own policies and practices, but to also be an example to the industry. It was challenging but rewarding work that continues with the newly established DEI committee made up of board members, staff, and members. And you've heard from them and the important work they're doing. The work we do will continue for years, I'm sure, but the ultimate goal is for the practices and policies to be embedded so deeply in our organization that we no longer require a committee to specifically address the work. I expect to continue to be integrally involved with this work even after I step down as chair. As the pandemic kept on, the staff continued to find ways to support our members, including pausing membership dues for 3 months at the beginning of the pandemic, offering our members access to put their audiobooks on NetGalley, launching new consumer marketing programs, and leveraging the IBPA catalog to raise nearly $15,000 for the nonprofit's Book Industry Charitable Foundation, also known as BINC, and We Need Diverse Books, WNDB. And they continued to stay on top of the government support options to share with our membership. The roundtables evolved, becoming open forums for all to share challenges and gain insight from our peers. Most importantly, we shifted to a completely virtual publishing university in 2021 after canceling 2020, as Angela mentioned, with staff seeking and adopting a conference platform that they had never used before. The result was a terrifically successful conference with record attendance and fantastic programming, including an added focus on the unique issues in the world at the time. At the same time, the other committees extended their work on the issues affecting us all. The Member Benefits Committee overhauled their evaluation criteria, adding confirmation that the companies endorsed were committed to anti-racism. The Editorial Committee developed content that was unique to the challenges of the pandemic world. The Advocacy Committee tackled a number of issues, weighing in on the CASE Act, the Internet Archive proposal for access to digital copies of books, and, as Catherine Sparks shared, many other issues. They have all been responsive, but also thoughtful in their recommendations, and I thank them all for their hard work. The work I'm most proud of is the reflection upon and sharpening of our core values and ethics. Instead of assuming that all members are familiar with these values, we now require explicit acknowledgement by any person or company who joins or renews their membership with IBPA. This has led to some challenging but necessary actions that we felt we must take in order to be true to our values and to make IBPA a safe and welcoming community for any and all. We've put in place a procedure for when one of our members violates the acknowledged code of ethics. We adopted a clear and detailed definition of hate speech and discriminatory content. I need to emphasize that these processes have involved hours and hours of discussion, debate, and reflection by staff, committee members, and board members. No hasty decisions were made, but instead I am grateful for the depth of reflection and consideration by every person involved, reaching unanimous commitment to our policies and procedures. We know that this work is the right thing for IBPA, for publishing, and for the world. During a time when other organizations have struggled, I am so proud that we have grown to the largest membership we've had in years. This led to a much needed organizational overhaul where more clearly defining the roles of each staff member and welcoming Adeline Liu as the new Director of Marketing and Communications. The pandemic disrupted our usual interaction as well. I met some of our board members for the first time only in January of this year. And I thank all for sticking with us as we adjusted to a new virtual reality. I am also grateful that some of us will be able to gather again in Orlando in a couple of weeks, and we understand, but we'll miss those who cannot or choose not to join us. More, I am also thankful to the staff for being constantly innovative, trying new ways to welcome all over the internet. Thank you too to members who pivoted quickly and embraced the new technology, the new networking that technology allows, in some ways limiting, but in others more inclusive. As we learn to live in the new pandemic reality, we have much work to do, and I am sure that new challenges will arise. I could not be more confident that this organization will continue to thrive as I hand over the reins to Karen Pavlison, who has been such a strong support for all the years I've been on the board, for the continuing and incoming members of the board, and to the outstanding and committed staff. Indeed, the last 2 years were in no way what I had expected, but at the same time, so much more than I had imagined. It has been said that you can evaluate the health of an organization by how it handles adversity. By that measure, I am honored and humbled by this outstanding organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Karla. That was really moving. And just think about reflecting on the past couple of years. I don't know, to do it in 10 minutes and less as well. Thanks for covering all of the bases. I think the best thing I could say about Karla, and I hope that all of you listening have someone in your life who is like this, is that she is one of the best listeners and empathetic listeners I have ever worked with. So her difficult 2 years was difficult for everybody, but I could say whatever I wanted to say to Karla in the privacy of our one-on-one chats, and she would hear me and know that we were still working through and we were on the right path and we were moving forward. Unjudgmental, kind, and someone who has been a real pleasure to work with over the past 6 years. So thank you for everything you've done. I don't know if it can be felt through all the way to the very edges. I hope it can, because of certainly in terms of my career, you've been an inspiration. So thank you.
Well, Angela, thank you. And it's been tremendous to work with you and all of the staff at IBPA, who I just have pivoted and been so creative through this time. So what a journey it's been.